My name is Nassim Sabs.
Should the world be afraid? The world is meant to be afraid. Are you with me? So you have thesis, you have antithesis. In the world wars, they said communism is the threat. You are supposed to be afraid so that you will accept any changes that are necessary to meet the threat. Now, they're using this as the next threat to create the synthesis that they want.
Because the whole war on terror construct only works if the public is afraid. And it's like, that's the point of my work, is to undeceive people and to show them that this terrible monster that's in the darkness isn't really there at all. It's all an artificial construct. And when people realize that it's like a Wizard of Oz play. It's like somebody, trying to scare you by waving something scary in front of your face. It's not real. The reality is much less scary than the deception.
And there's no reason for these military intelligence agencies to hang on to these secrets, which they have for over 40 years, because it's killing the planet and it's killing humanity. And there are minority factions that want to do that, want to kill the surface-dwelling humans. They call them surface dwellers, and then supplant the surface dwellers with a gene pool Mars colony that they've been developing on Mars of elite humans with superior DNA that they'll just bring on after they've gotten rid of us all surface dwellers. And I think that just yesterday, a woman came forward with a leak. She was a former NASA employee who saw back in 1979 a person walking around on Mars. Of course, the US and the UK have had bases on Mars and personnel on Mars at the elite level since at least the 1960s.
Alfred characterizes a control system striving through all means possible to maintain its hold over humanity. These controllers appear to be using technology far beyond that which the average human conceives as possible. In considering such notions that stretch our reality, it's important not only to consider the source and the information, but also take into account the confined nature of what we've been taught is possible. Taught incidentally by the control system itself. Could it be that we've been trapped in a matrix reality constructed to limit our conceptualization of what's possible? Could this have been done to elicit an automatic reaction of disbelief to any data that conflicts with the reality taught in schools and then reinforced by the media? Is science fiction a mechanism to categorize ideas into what is fact and what is fantasy? Could it be an instrument designed to teach us what to believe and what to disbelieve, thereby enabling the controllers to hide advanced technology which they use to maintain control, and then hide it in plain sight? Certainly we are schooled to the notion that we live in a physical reality, governed by the laws of Newtonian science. But this notion defines a particularly rigid set of parameters for what is feasible, for what is real. Cemented in the notion of physicality, we are incapable of grasping anything outside of a seemingly material world. Could this be the controller's greatest tool of suppression? Denying us the knowledge of who we are, what we are, and the rules that govern the omniverse? This confines us in a prison without bars, a narrow range of possibilities outside of which the controllers can operate with impunity. Without being able to break free from the stunted vision of what's achievable, we remain ensnared in a slave-like existence, subject to the horrors, isolation, separation, wars, and limitations which they choose for us. Later in the interview, Dr. Weber reconceptualizes a reality in which many more possibilities abound, and perhaps freedom from the matrix can be found.
Is time a construct?
Well, it's a dimension. We now live in what's called a time-space hologram. We are inside a virtual reality. It's like if we're inside the virtual reality that you yourself would watch through a pair of Google glasses. And people can read my most recent book called The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse. It's the product of 5 years research that was started by a request from Oxford University Press, which is a division of Oxford. And it's perfectly scientifically, all of the evidence there is based on replicable scientific experiments. What we are in now, yourself as Richie, myself as Alfred, we can call ourselves avatars. All of us humans, all of those listening to this program, all of us 7 billion on this planet, what we are is we are time-space avatars inside of a time-space virtual reality that's a time-space hologram, where time is one of the dimensions. It's composed of multiple timelines. The good news is this, that as of December 21st, 2012, the holographic timeline that humanity has been on has shifted from, I would call, a duality consciousness-based timeline, in which you can call a catastrophic timeline, to a positive timeline. And that's why all these end-of-the-world scenarios have not occurred, and why all the false flags that they're trying to get off the ground, like World War III, they don't have traction for, because as of December 21st, 2012, the portal, the interdimensional portal at the core of our universe has started to broadcast waves of unity consciousness, which is we are one. Duality consciousness is I win, you lose. And that's what the matrix has been operating under. And as of December 21st, 2012, is shifted to unity consciousness. So any plans, organization, attempts, thoughts, that are trying to impose duality consciousness will not prosper. And individuals, thoughts, organizations that are in unity consciousness gain traction on this new holographic timeline. The other good news is that this being a virtual reality, and I being the avatar Alfred, you being the avatar Richie, we have our 7 billion fellow avatars here. Each of us is connected to a non-local soul, which is based in what we call the interlife dimension. That soul can be leading multiple lives in multiple virtual realities, not only as humans, but they can be leading it as intelligent fish or other forms. So this is a very advanced form. And what souls do in the interlife, also between lives, is that they have very important functions co-creating the universes that they incarnate into. There's a recent paper by 2 scientists at Stanford showing that they were asked how many universes are there in the multiverse, and the response was, there are so many, it's humongous, and the human mind can't even comprehend. But if you went to write that number out in 12-point type, that number would be more than 260 million miles long.
Wow,
that's how many universes there are in the multiverse. So we are in a humongous in a humongous reality, each of which had contained so many intelligent civilizations that we couldn't comprehend how many. Basically, this is a spiritual, I would call it a struggle or a war between matrix forces who want to keep as many souls from moving up in density of consciousness, from being trapped in, let's say, lower third density where they are now, and moving up the ladder of consciousness where they would no longer be subject to. And so money was actually invented as a form of control. It's a form of control that if you research it, it goes back to the temples of Babylon and even before, where it was used by the Mardukian priests as where they would require it as payment for sex with the temple priestesses / prostitutes, where the farmers would bring in their grain. And so it's been mixed up with concepts of God, sex, money, prostitution, and it's a form of imprisonment. And as we know from near-death experiences, one can't take money with you. You can't take things with you. All you can take with you is knowledge and experience and karma.
Yeah.
So that's where one should concentrate one's energy during life, because it's killing the planet and it's killing humanity. And there are minority factions that want to do that, want to kill the surface dwelling humans. They call them surface dwellers, and then supplant the surface dwellers with a gene pool Mars colony that they've been developing on Mars of elite humans with superior DNA that they'll just bring on after they've gotten rid of us all surface dwellers.